Do this and you will never get angry or upset with anyone or about anything. Stoicism. Imagine waking up every day with a calm, unshakable mind. No matter what happens, whether it's an insult, a setback, or the chaos of the world, you remain composed and in control of your emotions. It may sound impossible, but it's not. At Stoic in Your Life, we believe you can achieve this level of emotional mastery by applying modern Stoicism. Stoic philosophy teaches us how to respond to life's challenges with calmness and clarity, without being swept away by anger or frustration. Today, I'm going to share with you the Stoic secrets that can help you stay emotionally unshakable. These aren't about ignoring your feelings. They're about learning to control and wisely channel them, no matter what comes your way. Have you ever wondered why some people stay serene in stressful situations while others react in anger? This video will show you exactly how to build that unbreakable mindset. So stick with me, and let's dive into these life-changing Stoic practices. Before we get started, leave a comment saying, "I will never get angry or upset with anyone or anything." This is your first step toward transformation. Let's begin. Mindset shifts and awareness. Number 1. Accept you can't control others. Have you ever found yourself seething with anger or frustration, asking yourself, how could they say that? How could they treat me like that? It's a feeling we all know too well. We've all been there, feeling our emotions rise uncontrollably in response to someone else's words or actions. But what if I told you that the key to never getting upset again, the key to finding true peace, lies in a simple, yet profound realization: you cannot control others. In fact, you never could. We often make the mistake of believing that the actions of others are within our power to influence. We think that if we just set the right expectations or act in a certain way, people will treat us the way we think we deserve. We expect fairness, respect, and understanding, and when we don't get it, anger bubbles up. But here's where Stoicism offers something truly powerful. Think about that for a second. What if, instead of trying to control how others behave, you focused on controlling how you respond? What if, instead of letting someone's harsh words or actions ruin your day, you remembered that their behavior says more about them than it does about you? Imagine for a moment you're at work and a colleague unfairly criticizes you. What's your first reaction? Do you let anger rise, reacting impulsively and snapping back at them, only to feel emotionally drained afterward? Or do you take a deep breath, remind yourself that their words are beyond your control, and calmly choose your response? In that moment, you regain control over your emotions. You become the one in charge. This doesn't mean you have to tolerate mistreatment or never stand up for yourself. It simply means you no longer let others' actions dictate how you feel. You choose peace even when everything around you feels chaotic. The Stoics understood this well. They knew that every time you allow someone else to determine your emotions, you give away a piece of your peace. When you stop expecting others to act according to your wishes, and instead accept that they are free to act as they choose, you free yourself from the trap of anger and resentment. The way people treat you often has little to do with you. It has everything to do with them, their own struggles, beliefs, and emotional state. Understanding this is like lifting a heavy weight off your shoulders. You stop carrying the burden of other people's issues. And isn't that a gift? Think about how much energy you spend getting upset over things you can't control. What would your life look like if you could free yourself from that constant cycle of frustration? What if you could move through life unshaken, regardless of what others say or do? Over time, practicing acceptance leads to a profound emotional freedom. It's not that you don't care about others or their actions, but you've come to realize that their behavior is their responsibility, not yours. As you cultivate this mindset, you'll notice something incredible happening. You'll become more resilient, more grounded. The actions of others will no longer throw you off course. Instead of reacting impulsively, you'll respond with clarity, calm, and confidence. This is modern Stoicism at its core, understanding that you hold the power over your emotions, not anyone else. It's a lesson that brings peace into your life, no matter how tumultuous the world around you may be. So I ask you, what would happen if, starting today, you accepted that you cannot control others? What if you took back control of your emotions and chose peace every time someone else tried to steal it from you? The answer is within your hands. Number 2, don't take things personally. One of the greatest sources of anger and frustration in life is when we take things personally. This is something many of us experience on a daily basis, whether it's a sharp comment from a colleague, a family member's dismissive attitude, or a friend who seems to ignore us. We often feel insulted, rejected, or misunderstood, and these feelings can quickly spiral into resentment and frustration. But here's the truth. Much of what others say or do is a reflection of their own internal struggles, fears, and insecurities. It's not an attack on you. If you can understand this one simple principle, it will change your life. I've found that when I stop personalizing the actions and words of others, I immediately experience a sense of relief. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone snaps at you for no apparent reason, their tone harsh, and their words cutting. In that moment, it's easy to feel attacked or offended, to immediately think, why would they say that to me? But if you pause for a moment and consider that their reaction is more likely rooted in something personal they're dealing with, stress, frustration, a bad day, it helps you to shift your perspective. Maybe they're not angry with you. They're simply lashing out because of something unrelated to you at all. Recognizing this truth frees you from the emotional chaos of taking it personally. It's a powerful shift that allows you to remain calm and unaffected, no matter how harsh their words may seem. The Stoics taught us that our emotional responses are within our control, and we are not at the mercy of others' behavior. When you stop internalizing others' actions, you begin to see people's negativity as a reflection of their internal state, not an attack on you. This is crucial. Once you stop viewing others' behavior as a personal affront, you prevent anger from taking root. It's a bit like wearing armor against negativity. It can't penetrate your peace. Over time, this perspective helps you develop what I like to call emotional immunity. You begin to respond with patience, understanding, and calmness, regardless of how others behave. Instead of reacting emotionally, you can respond with empathy, recognizing that their actions might stem from their own pain or struggles. Think about it. When we take things personally, we often become entangled in the drama of others' emotions, letting their negative energy affect our mood and peace. But when we remember that their actions are more about them than about us, we can disengage from that emotional drama. We become less reactive, more composed, and in control of our emotions. This practice isn't just a Stoic secret, it's a key principle for anyone who wishes to live a life free from unnecessary anger and resentment. The more you practice this, the more you'll notice that the things that once triggered you no longer have the same emotional grip. You stop being controlled by the words or actions of others, and instead, you control your own emotional responses. In today's fast-paced, high-stress world, this approach is particularly relevant. We live in an age where people are constantly reacting to each other, on social media, in the workplace, and even in personal relationships. But I urge you to remember this Stoic lesson. The next time someone's words or actions trigger a response in you, pause and reflect. Understand that it's not about you. Their behavior is not a direct reflection of your worth or character. It's simply a window into their own state of being. This will help you stay grounded and peaceful amidst the chaos that may surround you. The more you adopt this mindset, the more you'll notice how your inner peace becomes less and less dependent on the actions of others. This is one of the true Stoic secrets. mastering your emotional response to the world around you. By doing this, you will never again be caught up in unnecessary anger or upset, because you will see every interaction through the lens of understanding rather than offense. If you found today's topic helpful or interesting, just leave a comment saying ready to let us know you're eager to explore more of our content. Now let's dive into today's lesson. Number 3. Question the usefulness of your anger. Anger, an intense and often overwhelming emotion, can seem powerful and justified in the heat of the moment. It's an emotional response that many of us experience regularly, whether in reaction to someone's behavior, a frustrating situation, or a perceived injustice. However, if we take a step back and reflect on the true purpose of our anger, we may realize that it often serves little to no purpose. This is one of the core principles of Stoic philosophy. Not all emotional reactions are beneficial, and many emotions, anger being a prime example, only drain our energy without offering any real positive outcomes. Stoicism teaches us to understand our emotions, but also to examine whether those emotions align with our deeper values and goals. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor and philosopher, offers us valuable insight when he says, "How much time he gains, who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only to what he does himself." In essence, Marcus is urging us to focus on our own actions rather than becoming entangled in the behaviors and opinions of others. Anger often arises when we focus too much on the perceived wrongs of others, the things that are outside our control, and the way people treat us. Instead of allowing anger to guide our actions, Stoicism encourages us to shift our focus inward, towards how we can respond in a way that aligns with our personal values, and towards cultivating inner peace regardless of external events. The next time you find yourself becoming angry, pause and ask yourself, will this anger change anything about the situation? In most cases, the answer will be no. Anger, when left unchecked, often becomes an exercise in futility. Holding onto it does not solve the problem at hand, nor does it bring about any constructive change. Take, for example, a heated argument with a close friend. You may feel the immediate urge to lash out, to express your anger and defend yourself, but upon reflection, you'll likely realize that responding with anger will only escalate the conflict, not resolve it. When we allow our emotions to drive our reactions, we often act impulsively, and our judgment becomes clouded. In that moment, we may say or do things that we later regret, things that can damage relationships or leave us feeling guilty. The heat of anger may pass, but the aftermath often lingers much longer. The sense of guilt that follows an impulsive reaction and the damage done to relationships can haunt us long after the emotional storm has subsided. This is why it is so important to question whether anger is truly useful. When we take a moment to reflect and ask ourselves whether holding on to our anger will lead to a better outcome, we can see that it rarely does. This realization can help us begin to detach from the impulse to react emotionally, allowing us to respond in a way that is more thoughtful, peaceful, and aligned with our higher principles. By learning to question the usefulness of our anger, we can cultivate a more measured and peaceful response to life's challenges. Instead of rushing to react, we can pause, breathe, and then choose the best course of action, one that comes from a place of clarity and calm rather than reactive emotion. This may not always be easy, especially in moments when anger feels like the natural or justified response. However, with time and consistent practice, it becomes easier to manage. As we cultivate the ability to pause and reflect before reacting, we build resilience and emotional control. This enables us to navigate through life's inevitable tensions without getting caught up in the storm of emotions that so often derail us. This approach isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about preserving our energy, maintaining focus, and using our emotional resources for more meaningful and fulfilling pursuits. Anger, if not properly managed, can drain us, both emotionally and physically. leaving us less able to focus on the things that truly matter. When we let go of anger, we unlock a sense of calm and clarity. This clarity allows us to approach life's challenges with intention and grace, responding in ways that reflect our true selves rather than being swept away by momentary emotional reactions. Modern Stoicism teaches us that we do not need to be slaves to our emotions. The more we question the usefulness of our emotions, particularly anger, the more control we gain over how we respond to life's challenges. By doing so, we create space for peace, purpose, and growth. So, the next time anger arises within you, take a deep breath, reflect, and ask yourself, is it worth holding on to this? Or would it be more beneficial to let it go and move forward with calm resolve? The more we practice this, the more peaceful and fulfilling our lives will become. In order to maintain calmness and not be swayed by external factors, we need to shift our mindset about ourselves and the world around us. Understanding that we can't control the actions of others, not taking things personally, and evaluating whether our anger is truly necessary, are key first steps to living a more peaceful and serene life. Practical emotional control techniques. With these mindset shifts in place, we'll be better equipped to apply practical emotional control techniques, allowing us to stay calm and composed in any situation. Don't rush off just yet. The techniques we've shared will not only help you stay calm, but also bring lasting change to the way you approach life. Keep watching to discover the final keys to mastering your emotions. Number 4. Learn to pause before reacting. In life, there's one simple yet incredibly powerful action that can prevent you from getting angry or upset with anyone or anything, and that action is called the pause. This small act can truly be the difference between being controlled by your emotions and taking control over them. Think about it. How many times have you reacted impulsively, said something you didn't mean, or made a decision in the heat of the moment that only made things worse? I know I've been there, and I'm sure you have too. It's so easy to react without thinking, but this is where Stoicism offers a profound lesson. Learn to pause before you react. The pause is not just a break in time, it's an opportunity to reflect, to breathe, and to take a step back before making any decisions. It's about being intentional with how you respond to situations, especially those that trigger strong emotions. Imagine the next time someone yells at you or criticizes you harshly. Instead of immediately firing back with anger or frustration, take that pause. In that brief moment, ask yourself, does this really deserve my anger? Or what would be a more thoughtful, constructive response? That brief time for reflection gives you the power to respond with calm and clarity, rather than letting your emotions dictate your actions and escalate a situation unnecessarily. At first, this practice might feel unnatural or even difficult, but with time, it becomes easier. It becomes second nature, and you'll start noticing that you can respond with more patience, understanding, and wisdom, even when faced with stressful or provoking situations. The ability to pause gives you the space to stop and think rather than react impulsively, and it can completely transform your approach to handling challenges in life. To illustrate just how impactful this practice can be, let me share a story. A colleague of mine, whom I'll call Tom, was known for his quick temper. He would get upset at the smallest things, miscommunications at work, delays, or even minor mistakes in reports. It was easy for him to let his emotions get the best of him, and as a result, he would often create unnecessary tension within his team. But one day, Tom started practicing Stoicism, particularly the concept of pausing before reacting. The next time something went wrong, Tom took a deep breath before responding. He paused and considered the situation carefully. He realized that the issue at hand was small and didn't warrant an angry response. Instead of snapping at his team, he calmly addressed the issue and offered solutions. His team was impressed with his calmness and professionalism, and over time, Tom's emotional resilience grew stronger. That pause didn't just help him control his anger. It helped him choose a more measured and thoughtful approach to life. So I want you to ask yourself, how often do you react impulsively? And how often could you benefit from that brief moment of reflection? Imagine the difference it could make if you practice the pause in your own life. Stoic principles are not just abstract ideas. They are tools that you can use to change your emotional habits for the better. It's not about trying to eliminate anger altogether, but about learning how to respond with wisdom and perspective, instead of letting emotions take the reins. This simple practice of pausing can lead to a more peaceful, resilient mindset. When you practice pausing, you're not only in control of your emotions, but you're also equipped to handle life's challenges with greater grace and composure. So next time you feel anger or frustration rising, pause. Reflect. What might happen if you chose to pause before reacting? Could it change how you respond? And could that simple act make a world of difference in your life? The power of the pause is immense, and it has the ability to transform your emotional landscape in ways you never thought possible. Number 5. Remember, everything is temporary. Do you ever feel like you're about to lose control of your emotions? Like everything is collapsing around you, and in those moments of anger or frustration, nothing seems more important than the issue at hand? I know it feels all-consuming, like you're stuck in this never-ending loop of negativity, but here's a profound truth from modern Stoicism. Everything is temporary, including your emotions. The Stoics believed that all things, both good and bad, are fleeting. When you're upset, it can seem like that anger or irritation is the end of the world, but the reality is, time has a way of putting everything in perspective. The key here is understanding that nothing, not even the strongest emotions, lasts forever. When you realize this, you begin to detach from the drama of the moment, and you allow yourself to regain control. Imagine being in the middle of a heated argument, feeling your heart race, your thoughts clouded, and your patience wearing thin. It feels like the world is falling apart, right? But if you can take a step back and remind yourself that this moment will pass, that this conflict is not permanent, you can shift your perspective. The anger, the frustration, the stress, they're all temporary. They don't define you, and they certainly don't have to control you. That is the power of this Stoic practice, to detach from the immediate and focus on the bigger picture. Instead of reacting impulsively, you can choose to pause, breathe, and reflect. You'll see that what once seemed like the most important thing in the world often becomes insignificant with time. I know that sounds easier said than done, but trust me, it works. It's a practice that takes time and effort. Every time you feel that surge of emotion, remind yourself, this too shall pass. This moment will fade. What you're feeling now will not last. I've personally found that remembering this simple truth gives me an immense sense of peace. It helps me avoid spiraling into anger or frustration, especially in situations where in the past I would have gotten caught up in a storm of emotions. It reminds me that my peace of mind is far more important than any fleeting issue that arises. Think about your own life for a moment. How often have you found yourself upset about something, only to realize, after time has passed, that it wasn't as big a deal as you thought? Reflecting on past moments of anger, doesn't it feel almost silly now? This is exactly what Stoicism teaches us. Time distorts the magnitude of temporary problems. The storm clouds of anger may seem like they'll never clear, but they always do. With this awareness, you begin to change how you approach challenges. Instead of reacting with bitterness or resentment, you start to ask yourself, is this truly worth my energy? Is it worth my peace? And more often than not, the answer is no. It's not just about enduring frustration. It's about learning to let go. By practicing this mindset, you begin to realize that you don't need to give in to your anger or distress. you start to understand that you can create a space between what happens and how you respond. In this space, you have the power to choose calmness, to choose peace. You have the power to step away from the firestorm of emotions and instead focus on the steadiness of your inner calm. Think about the great Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, who faced immense personal and political struggles, yet he constantly reminded himself that everything, both pleasure and pain, is temporary. He found comfort in the belief that emotions are not permanent, and neither are external circumstances. When you adopt this mindset, you're not just learning how to manage your anger, you're learning how to live with a greater sense of inner peace and self-mastery. This, I believe, is one of the most powerful tools you can use to create lasting happiness in your life. So when you're caught up in a frustrating moment or feeling overwhelmed by a situation, I encourage you to pause, take a deep breath, and remember, this too will pass. This is not the end of your story, it's just a moment in time. Ask yourself, how important will this be tomorrow, next week, or a year from now? When you embrace this reality, your anger won't have the same power over you. You'll find yourself more resilient, more grounded, and better equipped to handle whatever comes your way. This is the wisdom of Stoicism, and by applying it in your life, you can begin to transform your approach to every difficult moment you encounter. Remember, everything is temporary. Your emotions, your challenges, your frustrations. With this knowledge, you can live with more freedom, knowing that your peace of mind is always within reach. Let me ask you this. Are you ready to take control of your life and empower yourself through self-mastery? If so, now is the time to act. Like this video and comment below, I will master my emotions and embrace peace. This simple declaration is the first step towards a powerful transformation. Number 6. Focus on your values, not your ego. One of the most profound Stoic secrets to mastering anger and frustration is learning to focus on your values rather than your ego. So much of our anger stems from a wounded sense of self, a deep-rooted desire to be right, respected, or validated by others. These needs, when unmet, lead to our egos becoming bruised, triggering an instinctive reaction to lash out in defense. We've all been there. Someone challenges our viewpoint, questions our actions, or criticizes us, and our immediate response is often anger or frustration. In those critical moments, it's essential to remember that these emotional reactions are fueled by our egos, not our true selves. Stoicism teaches us that we should never let the ego dictate our behavior or decisions. Instead, we must learn to act in alignment with our core values, values like patience, integrity, humility, and empathy. When we choose to embody these principles, we find that responding to criticism or conflict with anger is inconsistent with our beliefs and what we stand for. If we let our thoughts become dominated by the need for external validation or approval, we risk becoming prisoners of our egos. This means we may frequently find ourselves reacting impulsively and emotionally, instead of thoughtfully and deliberately. However, when we take a step back and reflect on our core values, we realize that responding with anger only undermines our sense of peace and emotional stability. It becomes clear that choosing to argue over trivial matters or feed our ego is a distraction from what truly matters: our inner growth, the integrity of our character, and the respect we have for ourselves and others. In today's world, where so many people are quick to argue or seek attention, the practice of shifting focus from ego to values provides a quiet yet powerful pathway to peace. By making the conscious choice to respond from a place of values rather than ego, we cultivate emotional resilience. We no longer feel the need to prove ourselves or seek approval from others, which frees us from the chains of reactive emotions. Over time, this deliberate practice builds not only emotional strength, but also a deeper sense of fulfillment and clarity. We begin to navigate life with greater wisdom, free from the constant pull of others' opinions and expectations. The key to this transformation is mindfulness, becoming aware of the precise moment when our ego tries to take control, and gently redirecting our attention back to our guiding principles. Whether in personal relationships, at work, or in everyday encounters, focusing on your values instead of feeding your ego empowers you to handle life's challenges with wisdom, calmness, and serenity. When we align our actions with our core values, we become less vulnerable to the unpredictable forces of other people's judgments and more attuned to the peace that comes from within. So, when confronted with challenges that would typically trigger anger or frustration, remember this Stoic secret. Choose to focus on your values. By doing so, you'll find that anger loses its grip on you, and you can maintain your composure and peace of mind. Once we have grasped these mindset shifts, applying practical emotional control techniques will help us maintain calmness in any situation. Learning to pause before reacting, understanding that everything is temporary, and focusing on our core values instead of our ego will help us stay in control and master our emotions in daily life. Building long-term emotional resilience. To maintain long-term emotional control, we need to build lasting emotional resilience. This is the foundation that will help you face life's challenges without being knocked down. Number 7. Train your mind daily. Emotional resilience is not something that can be developed overnight. Much like building physical strength, it requires time, effort, and consistent practice. Cultivating a resilient mind involves regular, deliberate training, and it's something you must actively nurture on a daily basis. Consider this. When you're in a situation that might trigger irritation, stress, or frustration, whether it's waiting in a long line, dealing with a difficult coworker, or facing an uncomfortable conversation, these are perfect opportunities to practice your emotional resilience. Rather than reacting impulsively or letting these situations get the best of you, you can choose to see them as moments to train yourself to stay composed. In those moments, take a deep breath and remind yourself that you always have control over how you respond to external circumstances. You might not be able to change the situation itself, but you can control your emotional response to it. It won't always be easy, but over time, these small acts of mindfulness will help build emotional strength. It's like exercising a muscle. Each time you practice, you get stronger, and eventually it becomes second nature. The ancient Stoics were masters at this. They didn't wait for life's challenges to arise before they began preparing their minds. They treated every day as an opportunity to strengthen their mental fortitude, patience, and composure. One of the most powerful Stoic reminders comes from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher. He once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This statement serves as a profound reminder that no matter what happens around us, we are always in control of how we respond. When we realize this, we unlock the true source of our strength. By dedicating time each day to building your emotional resilience, you're setting yourself up for success. Each challenge you encounter becomes an opportunity for growth. The more you practice maintaining composure, the easier it becomes to stay calm, even in the face of stress or adversity. Over time, these moments of reflection and growth will build upon one another, helping you transform your reaction to life's challenges from a reflex of stress into an opportunity to practice mindfulness. The goal is not just to survive stressful situations, but to thrive in them. With each instance where you manage to remain grounded and calm, you're strengthening the foundation of your emotional resilience. Modern Stoicism teaches us that, despite the chaotic, fast-paced nature of the world we live in today, we still have the ability to control our emotions, provided we make this practice a consistent part of our lives. As you continue to practice emotional resilience, you'll begin to notice that over time, staying calm under pressure will become more automatic. It's not about suppressing your emotions, but rather about learning to respond in a way that allows you to maintain inner peace. This inner stability is critical in navigating the challenges we face in everyday life, whether it's stress at work, conflict in relationships, or the seemingly endless pressures of modern living. The key to developing emotional resilience is to see each day as an opportunity to train your mind, and when life's inevitable storms come, you'll find that you're not thrown off course by them. Instead, you will stand strong with a steady heart and a clear mind, knowing that the real source of your strength lies not in avoiding challenges, but in how you face them with poise and resilience. Number 8. Surround yourself with calm people. In life, the people you surround yourself with have an undeniable influence on your emotional state. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever been in a room where someone was visibly angry, upset, or anxious, and before you knew it, you started feeling the same way? It's almost as if their emotions were contagious. You begin to absorb their energy, and suddenly you're caught up in a wave of negativity, even if it wasn't your own feeling to begin with. This is a perfect example of how emotions are shared between people, particularly when you're around reactive, emotionally unstable individuals. The impact of their energy can pull you into a negative mindset, often without even realizing it. On the other hand, have you ever found yourself in the presence of someone who remains calm and composed even under pressure or when life throws challenges their way? Have you noticed how their ability to stay centered has a soothing effect on those around them? It's not a coincidence. This is one of the Stoic secrets that can truly transform how you handle life's challenges. The more you surround yourself with people who are emotionally stable, who navigate adversity with grace, the more you begin to absorb those qualities. Over time, this influence helps you internalize calmness, making it easier to respond to life's stressors with a sense of composure, even in the most difficult circumstances. Take a moment to reflect on the relationships in your life. Who are the people you spend the most time with? Do they uplift your emotional state, encouraging you to be calm, centered, and resilient? Or do they drag you into a whirlwind of negativity and stress? If you often find yourself surrounded by individuals who constantly stir up emotional turbulence, it might be time to reassess those relationships. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to completely cut people off, but it could mean making a conscious effort to spend more time with individuals who inspire emotional strength, kindness, and balance. Think about someone you know who always seems to remain calm, no matter how chaotic the world around them becomes. How do they do it? What is their secret? Could you learn from their example? For instance, maybe you have a friend who never loses their cool, no matter how hectic their day is. Imagine how much more resilient you could become by reflecting on their approach to life and stress. The small everyday interactions you have with emotionally stable people can teach you valuable lessons on how to manage your own emotional state. These changes may not happen overnight, but by observing and absorbing their mindset, you will gradually find yourself handling stress in a calmer, more composed way. The people around you don't simply influence your mood. They have the power to shape your mindset. It's like choosing your emotional ecosystem. You have the ability to decide who gets to be a part of it. So if you want to cultivate more peace in your life, take a moment to be deliberate in choosing who you spend your time with. Seek out those who embody the traits you want to nurture within yourself, whether it's their patience, ability to stay calm under pressure, or their unwavering optimism in the face of adversity. These qualities aren't just things you admire from a distance. They can be learned and adopted by simply being in the presence of people who exude those qualities. In the end, this is a powerful Stoic principle. Surrounding yourself with emotionally resilient, calm, and grounded people is one of the simplest and most effective ways to stay emotionally centered and at peace. It's about choosing an environment that nurtures your well-being. When you make this choice, you're essentially giving yourself the gift of growth and self-improvement. By carefully selecting your companions, you open yourself up to becoming the best version of yourself. So, The next time you're feeling unsettled, agitated, or overwhelmed, take a moment to observe your surroundings. Are you surrounded by people who help you regain your peace, or are they fueling your frustration? If you're feeling emotionally drained or stressed, a small change in the people you engage with could make all the difference. By curating a circle that fosters emotional calmness, you'll naturally begin to respond to the world around you with greater serenity, resilience, and strength. Number 9. Use humor as a disarming tool. Have you ever felt frustration or anger starting to rise inside you? Maybe due to criticism or an unexpected situation? It's something we've all experienced. But what if there was a way to stay calm? To prevent those emotions from taking over? What if I told you the key lies in a simple tool anyone can use to diffuse tension? Humor. Humor is incredibly powerful. It's like a shield against anger, capable of turning a potentially volatile situation into something lighter. It helps you step back from frustration and see things from a different perspective, which is key when practicing modern Stoicism. When we let our emotions control our actions, we lose power. But humor puts you back in control, allowing you to react in a way that aligns with who you truly are, a person who isn't shaken by life's annoyances. Imagine someone criticizes you in a personal way. It's easy to feel attacked and want to defend yourself. But what if, instead of reacting defensively, you responded with humor, lightening the mood? By joking about the situation, you're not dismissing your feelings or pretending it doesn't matter. You're simply using humor to reset your emotions, regain control, and approach the situation with ease. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Humor shifts your thoughts, helping you move away from negativity and toward something more freeing. At first, using humor might feel strange, especially when you feel you should be angry. But the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Humor doesn't mean you're weak or that you don't care. It means you're in control of your response. It's an emotional reset, helping you view situations from a broader perspective. Over time, humor becomes a natural part of your emotional toolkit, enabling you to handle challenges with ease and transforming obstacles into opportunities for growth. Humor doesn't just disarm others, it also disarms us. It can break the grip of anger before it fully takes hold, allowing us to stay calm and composed. Humor reduces stress, boosts your mood, and enhances your ability to remain composed under pressure. Imagine the relief you'd feel if you could just laugh off the frustration. It's not about ignoring problems, but about not letting them control you. Humor shifts your mindset, helping you stay lighthearted even in tough situations. You might wonder, what if the situation is too serious? It's a valid concern. But even in serious moments, humor gives you a brief pause, a moment of clarity that prevents you from reacting impulsively. It's like a breath of fresh air when things feel heavy. Humor doesn't mean ignoring the issue. It means maintaining control over your emotional state while acknowledging the situation. By practicing humor, you create a space between your initial reaction and your response. This gives you the power to choose how you respond instead of being swept up in anger. Modern Stoicism teaches us that we can't control others, but we can control how we react. Humor lets you take back that control. It frees you from negative emotions and helps you turn frustration into personal growth. Think about how much energy we waste when we get upset. Anger and frustration drain us, emotionally and physically. What if you could redirect that energy into something positive like laughter? Wouldn't that be freeing? Over time, humor helps build resilience, giving you a foundation of calm that others can't easily shake. Imagine how much peace you'd have if you no longer allowed anything or anyone to steal your calm. Starting today, I challenge you to use humor as your shield against frustration and anger. It may feel awkward at first, but the more you practice, the more natural it will become. You'll start noticing that situations that once would have set you off now roll off your back with a smile. As Epictetus wisely said, It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Humor can be your secret weapon in responding with grace and calm. Embrace it and let it guide you to a peaceful life, no matter what life throws your way. If you're still here, it's clear you understand the power of humor and staying calm and collected. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Just drop a comment saying, "Humor is my shield," and let's continue learning from each other. More enlightening content is on the way. Stay tuned. Number 10. Practice emotional detachment. One of the most powerful tools I've learned from Stoic philosophy is emotional detachment. This isn't about shutting off your feelings or becoming cold and indifferent to the world around you. It's about developing the ability to step back and detach from things beyond your control. Life is unpredictable, and while we often try to control the outcomes, people, and circumstances, the Stoic secret lies in understanding that we can't. The key is recognizing that no matter how much effort we put in, we simply can't control everything. If, for example, you've planned an entire day down to the smallest detail but things don't go as expected, emotional detachment helps you see the situation as it is. Instead of reacting with frustration, anger, or disappointment, you accept what's happening without allowing it to disturb your peace. This ability to separate your emotional state from external events frees you from the stress of needing everything to align perfectly. By practicing emotional detachment, you learn that outcomes are not the source of your happiness. Your response to them is. Think about it for a moment. How often do we get upset when things don't go our way? The Stoic mindset teaches us that the world doesn't revolve around our desires, and that true peace comes from within. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants, said Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who understood the importance of detaching from material desires. I find this to be so relevant in our modern lives. In today's fast-paced world, we are constantly bombarded by expectations and pressures, whether it's at work, in relationships, or with our own goals. We want things to happen on our terms, and when they don't, frustration follows. But what if you chose to step back, observe the situation without emotional attachment, and calmly adapt to what life presents you? This is where the strength of detachment lies. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or that you become emotionless. It's about understanding that certain things are simply outside your sphere of influence. When you practice this mindset, you stop clinging to rigid expectations and instead you allow yourself to adapt with grace. I've learned that by practicing this, you free yourself from the constant stress of trying to make everything fit your ideal picture. It teaches you resilience as it helps you handle disappointments and challenges with composure. Instead of feeling frustrated when your plans go awry, you accept the change and find new ways to navigate the situation. Whether it's a minor inconvenience or a significant setback, emotional detachment enables you to stay grounded, keep your peace, and take things in stride. The more you practice detachment, the more it becomes second nature. Over time, you'll find that you are less affected by things outside your control. For example, if someone reacts negatively toward you or something unexpected happens at work, you won't immediately spiral into anger or frustration. You'll recognize that these events don't define your emotional state. That, in a nutshell, is the essence of emotional detachment. It's not that you stop caring about what happens, it's that you care about your response to it. And that response is something you can control. As you integrate emotional detachment into your life, you'll begin to notice a shift in how you deal with daily challenges. Life will throw unexpected twists your way, but you will handle them with calmness and clarity, no longer at the mercy of every little bump along the road. Over time, this practice not only protects your emotional well-being but also allows you to build a steady, resilient mind. You'll find yourself able to face challenges without the emotional turmoil that once accompanied them. Detachment helps you maintain your inner peace no matter how chaotic the world around you may become. When you stop seeking control over everything and start accepting the impermanence of life, you will find that you become stronger, more adaptable, and ultimately, more at peace. The Stoic secrets lie in practicing detachment daily, and as you do, you will experience freedom. Freedom from anger, frustration, and disappointment. You will find that life's setbacks no longer control you, but rather, you control your response to them. This is not a path to indifference, but a path to profound emotional strength and resilience. Number 11. Observe your thoughts before acting. Anger can often spring from impulsive reactions, from situations where we respond before considering the long-term impact of our actions. Modern Stoicism teaches us that the root of much of our suffering is the lack of self-awareness and the automatic nature of our responses. The Stoics, including the great Marcus Aurelius, emphasized the importance of observing our thoughts before acting on them, understanding that we are not our immediate reactions but the choices we make and how we respond. When faced with a situation that triggers anger, such as a rude comment or a miscommunication, it is essential to pause and examine what is going on in our minds before reacting. Are we assuming the worst about the other person's intentions? Are we letting our emotions dictate how we respond, without even realizing it? In this moment, we must take a step back and consciously observe our thoughts. By doing so, we gain control over our response, allowing us to choose a reaction that aligns with our values, rather than one that stems from impulsive emotional triggers. For instance, in today's world of instant communication, where emails, texts, and social media posts can provoke quick reactions, it's all too easy to let a momentary feeling of anger or frustration guide us into a rash response. But as the Stoics advise, we are not beholden to our first emotional impulse. Instead, we can choose how we act, and in doing so, we can transform our emotional state. When someone makes a rude comment or a situation arises that feels unjust, it's natural to feel hurt or angry. However, by practicing self-awareness, we can ask ourselves, is this reaction truly warranted? Am I overreacting or assuming something about this person that may not be true? This pause allows us to distance ourselves from the heat of the moment and observe whether the situation truly deserves our emotional reaction. It is in this space of observation that you find the freedom to choose your response, whether it's a calm and rational reply or simply walking away from the situation with a sense of dignity and tact. The power of observing your thoughts lies not just in preventing yourself from reacting negatively, but also in strengthening your emotional intelligence. The more you practice this mindfulness, the more skilled you become in recognizing when your emotions are beginning to take over. Over time, it becomes easier to acknowledge these emotional patterns before they lead to rash decisions. Stoicism encourages us to take responsibility for our actions and not blame others for our emotional state. By observing our thoughts before acting, we can avoid falling into the trap of impulsive reactions that, although they may offer temporary relief, often lead to regret. This process gives us the opportunity to realign with our core values and act in a way that reflects our best self, not our worst impulse. The beauty of this practice is that it nurtures emotional resilience over the long term. When we consciously choose to observe our thoughts, we train ourselves to be less reactive and more thoughtful, turning emotional moments into opportunities for growth rather than sources of regret. In the hustle of modern life, where we are often pulled in many directions, this ability to observe rather than react is a vital tool for maintaining inner peace and emotional control. The next time you feel anger rising within you, I encourage you to pause, take a breath, and observe your thoughts before acting. Recognize that your first reaction is often shaped by past experiences, assumptions, or emotions that may not reflect the current reality. By exercising this self-awareness, you can choose to act with clarity and composure, thus preserving your emotional well-being and aligning with the teachings of modern Stoicism. Number 12. Turn anger into a personal challenge. Life has a way of throwing challenges at us, moments that can spark anger and frustration. Whether it's a heated conversation, an unexpected setback, or a minor inconvenience, it's easy to let those emotions take over. But what if I told you there's a simple shift in mindset that can change how you respond to these situations forever? What if I told you that instead of letting anger control you, you could actually use these challenges as opportunities to grow and strengthen your emotional resilience? This is one of the powerful Stoic secrets, turning anger into a personal challenge. It's about reframing how you view life's difficult moments, seeing them not as obstacles, but as opportunities to prove to yourself that you can stay calm, composed, and in control. Think about it. The next time someone cuts in line or someone says something hurtful, instead of reacting with frustration, you can take a deep breath and choose to respond with kindness or self-restraint. You can make it a challenge, an opportunity to practice patience and control. It's not about ignoring your feelings or suppressing your anger. It's about transforming that emotion into something positive. Let me share a story that illustrates just how powerful this can be. A friend of mine, let's call him Jack, used to be someone who got angry at the smallest inconveniences. If a colleague spoke to him in a way he didn't like, he would snap back without thinking. If things didn't go according to plan, frustration would take over. One day, Jack came across a Stoic teaching about turning anger into a challenge, and he decided to give it a try. The next time someone cut in front of him in line at a grocery store, instead of letting anger flood his mind, he paused. He remembered the lesson and he chose not to react. Instead of letting the moment escalate, he simply smiled and let it go. Over time, this small practice began to reshape his responses. What once would have sent him into a rage now became an opportunity for self-mastery. He learned that by turning anger into a personal challenge, he wasn't just controlling his emotions, he was growing stronger with every test. This is the beauty of Stoicism. It doesn't teach us to be emotionless, but to be in control of how we respond. When you view these challenges as opportunities to demonstrate your emotional strength, you stop being controlled by the situation. You take the power back. And the more you practice this, the easier it gets. Soon, situations that used to trigger your anger won't have the same effect on you. You'll begin to feel calmer, more composed, and more resilient in the face of adversity. So, I ask you, when life presents you with a frustrating moment, how will you respond? Will you let it take hold of you? Or will you choose to view it as a personal challenge, an opportunity for growth? By practicing this Stoic secret, you can transform how you handle life's difficulties, and in doing so, you'll gain emotional strength, peace, and control. In the end, it's not the challenges themselves that define us, it's how we respond to them. So the next time you're faced with something frustrating, remember, this is your chance to show yourself what you're made of. Will you rise to the occasion? If you've made it this far in the video, I encourage you to comment emotional mastery below. This is a great way to show that you are embracing the Stoic lesson of turning challenges into opportunities for growth. Take a moment to reflect on the power of this practice and share your thoughts with me. Thank you for being part of this journey, and I hope this helps you become even stronger on your path to emotional resilience. In conclusion, applying modern Stoicism can transform how you handle life's challenges. While anger or frustration may still come up, the Stoic secrets shared here will help you respond thoughtfully, not impulsively. By practicing these principles, you'll create emotional control that leads to greater peace, better relationships, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Remember, emotional mastery is a skill, not a gift, and with consistent practice, it becomes second nature. If these strategies resonate with you, don't hesitate to share them. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can continue growing with Stoic in your life. Master your emotions, and you'll master your life. One step at a time.